Dune Messiah had been confirmed months ago to be happening, but we were left in the dark over when that movie would come out, and also whether it would actually be director Denis Villeneuve's next project. Well, in a new interview with Deadline, the director has given us confirmation that Messiah is going to be coming sooner than we think, and he also provided us with some interesting things to think about, like how the movie would address the questioned time jump. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing what he said, giving my thoughts on the new details for Messiah, and diving into the potential release date. Before I get into it though, if you want to keep up to date on any of my future content surrounding Dune Messiah, the Dune Prophecy series, and beyond, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into the latest news for Dune Messiah. So in the new Deadline interview that was shared the other day, director Denis Villeneuve shared some details about his final Dune film in the Paul Atreides story, Dune Messiah. He said, "I'm in the writing zone right now." He also mentioned that he could have stopped at Dune Part 2, but said, like Herbert did with Messiah, "I think it'll be a great idea to do something completely different." The story takes place like 12 years after where we left the characters at the end of Part 2. Their journey, their story is different this time, and that's why I always say that while it's the same world, it's a new film with new circumstances. That new movie will finish the Paul Atreides arc. Villeneuve further stated that the central players returning for the third movie are Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides, Zendaya as Chani, Florence Pugh as Princess Irulan, and Anya Taylor-Joy as Aaliyah. He said they have to return, they are the main cast when that story happens. And he also gave a brief hint of his adaptation of Messiah, saying that the project will have more worms. Denis then finally addresses the release date of his Messiah film in that new interview, which had previously been under question. And of course, there are multiple projects that he and his writing team are currently working on. The Deadline article refers to a conversation they had with him last year when he mentioned late 2025 and early 2026 as possible start dates for Dune Messiah. Now, in the new interview, he confirms that filming begins in 2026 without giving away too many specifics. It was rumoured a few months ago that the end of 2026 had been locked down by Warner Brothers as the release date for the new film. So him saying this now kind of fits in line with that, but you'd also have to question the filming process and production time involved too. In the new interview, the director said, "These movies take a lot of time to be made, so it's best not to say out loud when I might shoot. Let's say that I thought that after part 2 that I will take a break, that I will go back in the woods and stay in the woods for a while to recover. But the woods weren't really suiting me, and I would go back behind the camera faster than I think. But that's all I can say." He adds to this saying, "It's vital that I get people who I can work with for the next 3 years or whatever. I'm not there to make new friends, but creativity involves vulnerability. And if I want to direct, my heart needs to be absolutely open, and I need to be in total communication with the human beings I'm around." Of course, in between making preparations for Dune Messiah, Villeneuve is keeping track of several other possible future projects that includes the Cleopatra movie starring Zendaya, his nuclear war movie, and an adaptation of Rendezvous with Rama. He did make one mention of Cleopatra in this interview too, saying, "It's a very difficult project, fantastic project, but very ambitious, and the writing needs to be perfect. It's a very long-term project, and it's a beast to crack." So what I think he is confirming via this new interview is that Messiah is indeed going to be his next film, and the other ones he has lined up are still deep in early writing stages. He's confirming that Messiah will be his next film, which means most of his creative work is going into getting that made. And with the additional mention of a 2026 timeframe for production, it's not going to be too long before we actually see it. Based on what he said, I think 2026 will be when primary filming kicks into gear, and then the actual release date of the film will be somewhere in 2027. This goes in line with my release date prediction from a while back, where I said that I thought 2027 or 2028 would be the ideal time to release that third movie. So it looks like the director is following that pattern and fully focusing on finishing his Dune trilogy first before attempting any of the other projects he's got lined up too. It makes sense, and after the success of Dune Part 2, you can understand why he's trying to capitalize on it. The one big question this leaves us on though is what he said about Messiah's time jump. Previously, a lot of us had thought that it would make Messiah's release date quite complicated, as you'd have to age up the actors and then make the birth of Aaliyah fit into that too. But as mentioned at the start of Villeneuve's interview, the director confirmed that Messiah will keep to the time jump that Herbert presented in his book. He said that the film would take place 12 years after the events of Part 2. Now, I suggested in previous videos that he might change certain aspects like the time jump itself, how a character like Aaliyah might age, and other aspects to make it all work on screen. But it seems like he is going ahead with the usual time jump and sticking faithfully to the initial story outline Herbert presented with his second book. It seems like whatever changes he does make to Messiah will come within the events of that story rather than being around it. For instance, he mentioned about there being more worms in this film, and while the book doesn't really feature much worm action, there is a moment off screen surrounding the Carino family with them. So maybe he actually depicts subtle moments like this on screen, or on top of that, adds in additional scenes to inject more action into the film. While saying this though, I still think Messiah will lean more towards the political intrigue of the book, and those extra scenes and action sequences will essentially heighten the scale of it. And when it comes to a character like Aaliyah Atreides, I think he can still alter the way her character ages to show how she is older in the events of that book. Like I proposed in a previous theory video, we might learn that Aaliyah ages quickly or looks slightly older because of the Water of Life ritual in movie 2. It would fit in line with her communicating like an adult from the womb in part 2, and it can be used to explain how she is closer to the age of 16 in the events of Messiah. So as a whole, Denis can still make a few changes even if he does stick to the 12-year time jump of Frank Herbert's second novel. Overall, it will be interesting to see how he tackles the project, because it is a very hard one to approach. You've got the issue of time, you've got the smaller scale emphasis of the setting, and you've got a big focus on the tragedy of Paul Atreides. While Dune depicts the rise of an empire, Messiah explores its downfall in very unexpected ways. Once seen as a hero, Paul is now a complex and isolated figure, struggling to convey his profound visions to those around him. He must make difficult choices to ensure the survival of his people, even if it means breaking with Fremen tradition. It's a conclusion to the Paul Atreides story that only Frank Herbert could have imagined, and now Denis Villeneuve will likely have to adapt the author's book in a very unique way. The general direction of Messiah being a more character-driven study of an anti-hero and focusing more on dialogue between characters in Arrakis City can make for a very interesting and different ending to a big-budget sci-fi or fantasy conclusion. The Messiah story takes the complete opposite direction to famous sagas we've seen in cinema over the last few decades, and I think if the director embraces that while making a few changes of his own, he can actually make it work. We'll just have to see what he does with the time skip and whether he makes some big alterations during the main events of that third film. It's exciting to think about, and the fact that Denis is talking about Messiah being his next film and getting it to us around 2026 means we won't have to wait all that long to see it. But that was my video discussing Denis Villeneuve's confirmation of Dune Messiah and details surrounding the film. We'll have to see how the director approaches his final Dune movie, but thinking about some of the iconic moments, characters and plot points, I think he can make a brilliant conclusion to his adaptation. It'll definitely be a hard task, but like with part 1 and part 2, he proved it can be done, adapting a novel known as once being unfilmable into a sci-fi classic. We'll have to see what happens when it comes to the release date window of his Messiah film, and based on his comments, I think we're looking at around 2027 for that project to finally come out. But let me know down below in the comment section what your thoughts are towards the confirmation of Dune Messiah as Villeneuve's next movie, alongside how you would like to see Frank Herbert's second novel adapted. For much more videos and news on Denis Villeneuve's Dune universe, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, rating, and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.